So Kilmar Abrego Garcia is back in the United States. Yay! This is despite Department of Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, saying on record in media that he is never going to step foot in the United States. But he's back, and he's back under a ruse, a trumped-up charges in Tennessee, orchestrated and probably puppeteered by AG Pam Bondi. But here's why none of us on the left, or a lot of us on the left, don't believe it and you can't force us to believe it because it's coming from this woman. Who is this woman? She is a former attorney general for Florida. She was Donald Trump's attorney during his impeachment trial. She, during her hearing, this represents the hearing. And by the way, my name is JJ Legal. If you're new here, I help people understand the various different lawsuits filed against the Trump administration and give you a sense of calm to know that the courts are working. I am taking the page from Amanda Mills Takes and KJ Miller, other people that I love on social media who use a whiteboard to explain things, make some sort of visuals. So that's what we got going on here. So this represents the people in the Senate who were supposed to confirm her. They confirmed her despite the fact that she said under oath that she was not going to politicize the Department of Justice. And that's one of the first things she did. Let's get a little bit closer here. The first thing she did is fire the attorneys that prosecuted Donald Trump and investigated Donald Trump. They were doing their job and she fired them. She fired the attorney who said to court, upholding the duty to the court of candor, and said that it was administrative error. She didn't like that, so she fired him. She pulled back the Office of Civil Rights because Donald Trump is a racist and he's not interested in helping Black and brown people or marginalized communities get, have rights. The Department of Justice is the Justice Department for the entire United States. The person who holds a job as Attorney General swears under oath to the United States Constitution, but Pam Bondi has turned the Department of Justice into Donald Trump's personal law firm. So all the cases that she goes after, she inserts herself in already existing investigations. Get rid of investigations that hurt Donald Trump or that advance Donald Trump's agenda. And she said that, like, if you don't get with the program, you're going to be fired. That's why they fired the Department of Civil Rights attorneys. They're asking these lawyers to defend the indefensible. Like I said, I'm in the dockets, and every single case, there is a lawyer that pulls out of their case mid-case because they are tired and they don't want to have their bar license put on the block because they're defending the indefensible. In these cases, the judges are saying things like the Department of Justice is not bringing us any facts. We're seeing all the evidence from the plaintiff sides, but you guys aren't bringing us evidence, you aren't bringing us laws. We don't know what you want because it does not make sense. Even Trump lawyers are Trump appointed judges are struggling to perhaps give Trump a win because the Department of Justice they're not doing the thing. So that's what we're seeing in these cases. She got rid of the cryptocurrency investigation because Donald Trump is like pumping this meme coin scam sort of thing like that. She got rid of the department that was working on helping uncover corruption. So anything that's helping her boss, Donald Trump, or she feels like would hurt him is going to be axed, like the cryptocurrency investigation. Anything that's going to help him, like participating in helping the corruption of quid pro quo Eric Williams, just helps Donald Trump find undocumented people and arrest them in exchange for dropping investigation. You're not supposed to do that. That's unheard of. And how do you know that's unheard of? Because during the Biden administration, the Department of Justice indicted, prosecuted, and convicted his son during his term. And in Donald Trump's first term, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, all previous administrations, there were investigations that weren't necessarily friendly to the man in office, but that was okay because the Department of Justice isn't supposed to be beholden to the president. It's supposed to be beholden to the law. So that's what she's doing. She's inserting herself unnecessarily. There was several people, including some professors, who filed complaints against her for her bar license, saying that she's asking people to do things to go against their oath to office, to not be candid to the court, firing the guy. And like I said, for example, in the Elon case, they had this woman claim to be the Doge administrator at the same time that Donald Trump and Elon were going on press in front of TV and in front of Congress saying that Elon was in charge. Judge Boasberg of the District Court, DC, Judge Zinas in the District Court of Maryland are about to do a contempt. And so they've asked the Trump administration to present documents, to print declarations to help. And they're just presenting bullshit after bullshit, declaration after declaration, showing that they're in contempt. that's generally in the immigration cases. OCG was a Guatemalan who has said that he didn't want to go to Mexico because he was violated there, like sexually, and they sent him anyway. And then when the judge, Brian Murphy, asked, they said, oh, it was a mistake, our bad. Andre Hernandez Romero, they sent him because they said he had markings that looked like gang. He's a gay hairdresser. He's not in a gang. Jordan Malgar Samaron, on May 7th, a judge said, don't send him back to anywhere. Don't leave him, deport him out of the country. They said, we're not going to deport him before May 8th, May 9th. On May 8th, they deported him anyway, and now they're trying to bring him back. Jersey Reyes Barros had a Real Madrid tattoo related to soccer, and he had a hand gesture. So a hand gesture, a lot of Black fraternities and sororities have hand gestures related to their sororities, and people sometimes I see in social media misalign it with gang membership is because racism. So yeah, so these people just have tattoos. Wildemar Alves Sanguino, 19, he had an arm tattoo. He, his mom, and his sisters were granted temporary protection status, part of the Venezuelan thing. He was coming into the country, and they saw his arm tattoo and said, oh, you're part of TDA, and they sent him to CCOT. His mother hasn't seen him since. His mom was like, I told you don't get those tattoos. Merrill Gutierrez, 19, no tattoos. His mom was like, my kid's not in the gang. Neri Jose Alvarado Borges, he had an autism awareness tattoo.
There's Francisco Javier Garcia Cacique, who's a barber with no criminal history. Then there's DC area couple Cesar and Noriella, who were arrested with their 2 kids. Alleged Noriella was a senior gang member because like 10 years ago, she dated this gang guy, someone said, but since then she's been living peacefully with her husband and 2 kids. The judge said it was baseless and based on pure hearsay and assumptions and putting words in other people's mouths with no evidence whatsoever. And 3 different judges found no basis for ICE detaining them, and they were released ultimately.
They give lawyers very little evidence investigation and tell them to prosecute it for political basis because Donald Trump wants to punish them. Everything she's doing related to the law firms, anyone Donald Trump has, it's the personal law firm of Donald Trump. So we don't trust her when she says these things. But let's go through the indictment or go through what they say, and let me show you another reason, the holes in them. Let's go through that real quick. Let's do the other side. I gotta fill this out. Let's start with 2011. Kilmar Abrego Garcia enters the United States as an unaccompanied minor. I'm gonna say in 2016. 2016 here. He gets married. He does not file because he was 2019. There was an order to him not to return. He asked for asylum. He said he's escaping gang violence and that his mother was threatened because they had a store and gang members asked him to become part of the gang. He didn't want to, so his mother was scared and said, go to the United States. But then, even though he was initially denied asylum, in 2019, a judge says they believed his case about him being threatened and persecuted and potentially harmed if he were to return to El Salvador. There was an order saying to not be returned to El Salvador. That was in 2019, right? All right, so in 2022, there was a traffic stop. Him and several people, he was driving some folks to work. A lot of them didn't have ID. That's common in people who are undocumented. They just don't have ID. Or sometimes they don't want to have ID because if you get ID, then get some questions. He got a ticket for not having a license or having an expired license. There was no investigation. He was let go 2022. 2025, he was picked up from Home Depot with his son, said that his TPS from 2019 had been expired, and he eventually was sent to El Salvador. Administrative error per the Department of Justice. And go. This ongoing investigation never mentioned this. 2025, there's been months and months. Judge Zenas has been asking what's going on with Kilmar. Where is he? Why isn't he here? At no point did they mention this was going on. They said, Pam Bondi said that the indictment happened in May 2020. Whatever she said they started in May 2020. Whatever the lie is, doesn't make sense because why during this entire investigation with Judge Zenas did they not mention this ongoing investigation? Even if they haven't finished indicting him, undercover, they could have did a protective order, and they could have communicated that to the judge without making that public. That, oh, by the way, we have an indictment about this guy, and so this is related, and so we're working on bringing him back related. There was no mention of that. Judge Zenas asked for a status update starting, I don't know, it's been like a couple of days. She said every single week, I want a status update. At no point Did they mention this ongoing investigation? Why? Because it didn't exist. What happened is they found a narrative. They wanted to save face because the Supreme Court said bring him back. There's a lot of political pressure. It's looking bad. They've already said that he's not coming back. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, how about we find and say that this thing that happened in 2022, it was part of an ongoing investigation, which it was not. No one believes that. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. No one believes it. But MAGA sycophants, and they're going to say, and I've seen people say, well, the guy who was the hit, of course, the guy who stands to benefit from something that he was offered is going to say, yeah, Kilmar was part of this. And y'all born yesterday. Listen, most of us, after I went through all of this scandal with this administration, you should know why we don't trust them, because they lie under oath. She's lied under oath. They lie all the time. They obfuscate. They don't present evidence. They make up stuff. They disappear people based on scanned evidence, made up evidence. Even the first time that Kilmar was under investigation, when they were thinking about like deporting him, it was based on someone who was who was fired for corruption, and he said that someone said they heard that he was part of a clique. Normally, the Department of Justice, before they prosecute you, they've built up a solid case. They're doing everything, sending these people back on very little evidence, and it's rushed, and that's why they're making all these mistakes, because they're just rushing to send people out. On May 7th, the stay was given in the Jordan Salmaron case. Less than 24 hours after the stay, they'd already deported this man. March 14th, 2025, Donald Trump issues his executive order. Before 24 hours had passed, they got 236 people and sent them out the country. Can't trust them. I don't know. I don't trust them. Do you? I hope that's helpful for you. JJ Legal, follow along. Get my tracker. Let's go.